Every once in a while, you come across an idea that just completely flips how you see the world. Well, that is exactly what you get with Jared Diamond's incredible book, Guns, Germs, and Steel. It takes on one of the biggest questions there is. Why are some parts of the world so much wealthier, so much more powerful than others? And trust me, the answer it gives is not what you'd expect. It all kicked off with one simple, incredibly smart question. Back in 1972, a politician in New Guinea named Yali asked Jared Diamond just that. He was talking about cargo, all the stuff, the technology, the wealth that just seemed to be concentrated in certain parts of the world. It's a question that gets right to the heart of global inequality, and that's the mystery we're going to dig into right now.
And here's the thing, the answer to Yali's question isn't just about the past. No, it shines a massive spotlight on the deep historical roots of the inequalities that are still shaping our world today. So Diamond's answer doesn't start with some abstract theory. It starts with a story, a single, insane moment in history that perfectly shows the imbalance Yali was talking about. We're heading to November 16th, 1532, to a place called Cajamarca in Peru.
Okay, picture this, because it's almost hard to believe. On one side, you've got this Spanish conquistador, Francisco Pizarro, leading a tiny crew of just 168 soldiers. They're miles from home, totally outnumbered. And on the other side, the Inca Emperor Atahualpa. He's considered a living god, and he's backed by an army of 80,000 warriors. The odds look absolutely impossible, right? So, when these two forces clashed, how many of Pizarro's men do you think died capturing the emperor? The answer is 0. Not a single one. Meanwhile, thousands of Incas were killed in minutes, and their emperor was taken prisoner. How in the world did that happen?
Well, Pizarro's victory wasn't really about being braver or smarter. It was about having a massive, overwhelming advantage in technology and biology. He had the guns, germs, and steel. His men had steel armor and steel swords. They rode on horses, terrifying beasts the Incas had never even seen. But their most powerful weapon? It was invisible. It was germs. Diseases like smallpox had already torn through the Americas, brought by earlier Europeans, killing millions and weakening the Inca Empire before Pizarro even showed up.
Okay, so it wasn't a fair fight. We get that. But that just begs a much, much bigger question, doesn't it? Why was it so unfair? Why did Pizarro and the Europeans have all this stuff? The steel, the horses, the germs? Why didn't the Incas have them? Why wasn't it Emperor Atahualpa sailing to Spain to conquer the Spanish king? To get that answer, we have to rewind the clock, way back. We have to look past the battles and the empires, because the real advantage wasn't created on a battlefield. It was created in the farm field, thousands and thousands of years earlier. It all comes down to the power of farming. So here's the absolute linchpin of the whole argument. Once a society figures out how to farm and produce more food than it needs to eat that day, a food surplus, everything changes. That surplus is basically the starter dough for building a complex, powerful society. Think of it like a chain reaction. First, you get a food surplus. That means you can feed more people, who can settle down in one place. And once that happens, not everybody has to spend their day looking for food. You get specialists. People can become full-time soldiers, or blacksmiths working with metal, or leaders organizing everything. That's the engine room, where you eventually create things like guns and steel. And the germs? Well, that was a pretty terrible side effect of farming, too. When you have large groups of people living packed together with their farm animals, their pigs, their cows, their goats, it's the perfect environment for animal diseases to jump over to humans. Over centuries, people in Eurasia built up some immunity to things like smallpox, but for the Incas, who had very few domesticated animals, these diseases were like biological weapons they had absolutely no defense against. All right, so we've tied guns, germs, and steel back to farming, but that just peels back another layer of the onion, right? It leads to another why. Why did farming take off in some places, like Eurasia, so much earlier and faster than in others? And this is where we get to the ultimate answer. According to Diamond, it's not about the people at all, it's about the planet itself. It all comes down to pure, random, geographic luck. It's as simple and as profound as the shape of the continents. Eurasia is huge, and it stretches out east to west. That means a crop or an animal domesticated in one place can spread for thousands of miles along the same latitude, in a similar climate. It's like a superhighway for agriculture and ideas. But the Americas and Africa, they're oriented north to south. If you try to move a crop north or south, you hit different climates, different day lengths. It's like a massive series of roadblocks that slowed everything down. And if you need proof, just look at wheat versus corn. Wheat spread from the Middle East all the way to Spain in about 1,500 years. That's fast. But corn, first grown in Mexico, took thousands of years longer just to adapt to the different climates in North and South America. That difference in speed over thousands of years had massive, massive consequences. So, when you put it all together, you can see the whole chain of events. These little quirks of geography weren't so little after all. They kicked off a process that left a powerful, unequal legacy that we are still living with today. Let's just walk through it one last time. The ultimate cause? Geography. The east-west axis of Eurasia. That led to the intermediate cause, a huge head start in farming. And that, in turn, produced the proximate causes, the guns, germs, and steel that gave Pizarro such a decisive advantage. And that right there is the core message of the whole book. The massive inequalities we see in the world didn't happen because of any inherent differences between people. It's not about biology, it's about environment. It's about the geographical cards that different groups of people were dealt completely by chance thousands of years ago. It's a pretty powerful and humbling way to look at history, isn't it? And it leaves us with one last big question to chew on. If geography was the main force shaping human history for the last 13,000 years, what are the big forces shaping our world right now? And what kind of future are they building?